We've all had those kind of games. You know, you do a couple gens, get 12 unhooks, loop the killer for 6 gens, but somehow you still D-pip? Well, today, we're gonna find out why. The important background information to know about before we take a deep dive is what the Emblem system is. The Emblem system is how DBD determines how well you did in any particular match, based on 4 categories with 4 different qualities: bronze, silver, gold, and iridescent. There's Lightbringer, which is based on generator repairs, Unbroken, which is based on escaping, Benevolent, which is based on altruistic actions, and Evader, which is based on how well you evaded the IRS. But Mr. Video Man, you might be asking yourself, how do we get all these emblems? Well, you see, that's the wacky part. And by wacky, I mean more problematic than you'd probably expect. The 2 main problems with the emblem system in my eyes are a lack of synergy between the emblems and how the emblems create a very selfish playstyle for people who care more about pips than working as a team. Let's go over the simpler one first. Now, what do I mean exactly when I say a lack of synergy? Well, taking a quick peek over at the killer emblem system, we see that there is an emblem for chasing survivors, hooking survivors, killing survivors, and keeping survivors off gens. As you can see, this all blends very nicely with itself, because when you chase a survivor, you'll down that survivor, hook that survivor, eventually leading to a survivor dying, which will be less people on generators. This creates a natural flow, which rewards the killer for not only playing the game normally, but also for players who care about pipping. However, on the Survivor's emblem system, we got a whole mess to look at.
I see, what a magnificent pair of
Emblems.
Oh, great heavens!
A quick refresher on the Survivor emblems: there's an emblem for doing gens, being altruistic, escaping chases, and escaping the trial. So let's say you're on a generator. You might be thinking to yourself, wow, I've already done 2 gens by myself, and the team is done with the rest of the gens. I'm definitely gonna pip up this game. Well, that's where you're wrong, bucko. Because you were on gens the whole time, you weren't being chased. And not only were you not being chased, but you also weren't being altruistic in helping out the team. Wait, the killer hasn't even gotten a hook yet. How am I supposed to be altruistic if the killer can't even hurt anyone?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I stutter? Go be altruistic or you're gonna deep it.
Okay, fine, I get it. Guess I have to be more altruistic. Jeez, what a tool. Whoa there, Buster. You weren't thinking about being altruistic now, were you? What are you, off your rocker? You need to be doing gens. Not only that, but you haven't even been chased yet. Now go get chased, or guess what, dingus? You're gonna D-pip. Ugh. Fine, I'll go on a chase. Jeez, what a blowhard. Now why on God's green earth are you getting chased? Don't you realize this is actually a 5,000 hour toxic killer main? You'll be downed in like 3 more seconds. What? Now look at the pickle you put yourself into. Now that you're on the hook, you're not doing a gen, and you can't be altruistic. And don't forget that because you did so poorly in that chase, you're gonna be losing out on a lot of points there too, you goofster. Also, in that chase, you weren't doing gens, and you weren't being altruistic. Now, don't get your hopes up thinking that your team's gonna come rescue you. This is a face-camping cannibal with no ed, so you're as good as dead. As you can see, because there's a lack of synergy between the emblems, while you do tasks to boost the total quality of one particular category, you can't be doing all the tasks simultaneously. If you're on generators, you're not being altruistic. If you're being altruistic, you're not being chased. And if you're being chased, not only are you not doing gens and not being altruistic, but you might be caught and abandoned by your team. Unlike the killer emblem, where when you find a survivor, you chase them, down them, get them out of the game so they can't do gens. A solution I can think of to help this issue would be to reward players for other actions, but only while they are doing other objectives. For example, while you're in a chase, you'd be getting points for other survivors healing or other survivors doing generators, because that would be the optimal time for them to be doing those actions. What do I mean by playing selfishly? Let's say you're doing a gen, and a survivor is hooked nearby. You've already gotten a few unhooks, and you've already done some healing, but you haven't done any gens yet. So you sit on a gen, and then the teammate that was going for the rescue gets downed. And now your other teammate gets downed, and now there's only 3 seconds for you to get that unhook, but you're on the other side of the map. So you just stick to that generator. Now the rest of the team is flaming you in post-game, because all you want to do is a few extra gen points. Of course, this is a bit hyperbolic, but it brings up the idea of playing selfishly for points instead of playing as a team. Here's a different way we can look at this. Let's say you need altruism points. You start heading for the unhook, but what's this? You see another teammate going for the unhook. Now in your head you think to yourself, I can't let this guy go for the unhook. I need this unhook or else he'll depip. So now instead of letting the teammates who might potentially have perks that would better suit the situation, borrow time, will make it, deliverance, you are playing in a selfish manner just to get those pips. To even further elaborate on an unhooking situation, let's say the killer's camping. You lose more points if the person you just unhooked goes down within 10 seconds than you would be by just unhooking them. Now, you have no way to get that unhook in a safe manner. Why would you try and unhook that survivor? If you unhook them and the killer decides to tunnel, you lose more points by unhooking them than you would be by just letting them die. Plus, if you haven't been downed yet, and the killer decides to go for you instead, you'll be losing points in the unbroken category. More on that one later. Now not only are you playing in a selfish manner because you don't want to lose points, but you're making the game less enjoyable for the person on the hook. Alternatively, let's say you just got unhooked and you want to stay injured. You might have resilience, there might be sloppy butcher and you don't want to waste time healing, or you might just want to focus on those gen points. Now instead of letting your teammate get more altruism points, you're playing in a selfish manner just so you can get more gen points. I've been talking about the emblem system as a whole and my qualms with it, but what about the individual emblems themselves? Well, that's a whole other can of worms to get to unpack. So, let's get started. A quick misconception about the emblem system is people trying to associate blood points to it. Someone might say, I got the most blood points, but I still depipped. How did this other guy pip up? He doesn't have as much blood points as me. Although you'd think there'd be a correlation, this isn't the case. The two systems have nothing to do with each other. Like I mentioned earlier, there are 4 different emblems that we'll be going over, with the first being Lightbringer. To get maximum points with Lightbringer, you're going to need to acquire 270 points. How do you get these points exactly? Well, the easiest way is to do gens, obviously. But you can also do totems and hex totems if you feel like you're lacking in the whole doing the objective category. So how many points do you get for doing gens? Well, you get 1 point per % of a generator when it's completed, totaling for a grand total of 100 points per completed gen. Hold on, but doesn't that mean if I want to get max points, I would need to do 3 full generators? Yup! If you haven't done gens because you've been chased all game, don't worry, you still get Lightbringer points. Of course, you only get 1/3% per gen, so if you get chased for 2 gens, you don't even get the equivalent of a full gen. But hey! You could of course cleanse totems to try to get some more Lightbringer points, but totems take 14 seconds to cleanse, assuming no slowdown perks like Thanatophobia or Thrill the Hunt, and only reward 20 points for dull totems and 50 points for hex totems. Wowee! 50 points? That's half a gen! Let me go spend roughly 40 seconds or more running around the map looking for a potential 50 or more points instead of spending that same amount of time on a generator and progressing the game for the better of my team. What do you mean my team already found all the totems? A quick fix would be to give more points to players doing gens together, encouraging people not to just spread out and do gens. The altruism category is a little quirky. You start off with 25 points and need to get to 100 for full altruism. You get these points from what you'd expect: healing, unhooking, altruistic actions. A couple other niche situations that can give you points are altruistic actions in the basement, but why would you want to do that? You should just leave the basement as soon as you can. Altruistic actions once the exit gates are powered, so when all 5 gens are done. Taking protection hits, but only while the killer is carrying a survivor, and why would you want to take a random hit? You're just giving the killer free pressure, plus the person probably won't wiggle off. When you help a survivor escape the killer's grasp. And last but certainly not least, helping a survivor escape the killer's grasp due to a nearby hook sabotage within 10 meters. Here's where things get real spicy. When a survivor gets hooked, everyone loses 10 points. When they get unhooked, they gain 10 points. This is to discourage people from just letting their teammates die on hook. As a bonus, the person who unhooked gains 20 points, but only if the survivor isn't down within 10 seconds. If they are down within 10 seconds, you lose 30 points. The negative of 30 points is to prevent people from just farming teammates off the hook, but it can actually discourage people from going for unhooks. For example, if a cannibal is camping near a combine in a corn map, then you realistically can't get a safe unhook, so why would you risk losing points? You could say it encourages people to play selfishly. See what I did there? It's a callback to when I was talking about the problems with the Emblem system as a whole. Yeah. A fix I can think of would be, instead of revolving safe unhooks around downs, revolve it around when the survivor is rehooked. That way, if the unhooked survivor has, let's say, DS, they still have an opportunity to stay alive, instead of being left to rot on the hook. Honestly, the Chaser Emblem is fairly balanced. On paper, at least. To oversimplify, the closer you are to the killer, and the longer the chase goes on for, the more points you'll get. This seems all fine and dandy. If you're getting chased, of course. What would happen if you weren't chased the entire game, your team uses up all the potential resources, and you're snuck up on by a sneaky killer, or a killer that's good at downing survivors quickly, like Hag, Huntress, or Spirit? You'll probably go down fairly quickly and end up not getting good chase points. You start off with 100 points, and your goal is to get to 880 for maximum points. There's a formula for how you get the points exactly on screen. I'm not going to read all of this. Yeah, the only real problem with this emblem is that sometimes you'll just get shafted depending on what's around you, like unsafe loops, dead zones, or if the killer is doing too good of a job in chase. The only other thing I can really think of is, according to the wiki, it says you get points for being in the killer's tear radius. But what if the killer doesn't have a tear radius? I'm not sure if this is actually a miswording or if it's actually based on tear radius. If it's actually based on tear radius, then I honestly think that's a problem, and should just be based off total distance from the killer. But other than that, great emblem. 8 out of 10. Now, probably the worst emblem of them all, the Unbroken Emblem. Deceptively, the most simple, but the most problematic, and really, the emblem that inspired me to make this video. So, what's so bad about this emblem? The idea is that the emblem is based off survival, but the way it's implemented just encourages you to abandon your team. To get iridescent, you can't get down. Not just hooked, but you can't go down at all. So going down for teammates on death hook? Doing hook exchanges? If you want to max out that emblem, then nope. If you get down and escape, you'll only get a gold. So what happens when you don't escape? If you're in the trial for 9 or more minutes and you die, you'll get a silver. Between 5 and 8 minutes, you'll get a bronze. And anything under 5 minutes, you just won't get an emblem. Now, how could we quell my issues with this emblem? Nothing short of a complete overhaul should do the trick. An idea that I have is to make the emblem based on when you are sacrificed. If you escape, you get iridescent. That's it. Plain and simple. If you're the first person to be sacrificed, you get bronze. Second person gets silver. third gets gold. If multiple people get sacrificed, it goes in order of the survivors hooked. First gets bronze, second gets silver, third gets gold. To put it lightly, the emblem system is in kind of a messy spot, but with some slight tweaking, I think it'd be a lot more fair. Maybe you think my ideas are terrible and would ruin DBD. Maybe I have a better one. Let me know in the comments what you think. But other than that, later Gators, thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day.